video lecture series on C programming training session. In today's video lecture, we'll be learning about identifiers, the rules of identifiers, the data types, and its associated programs related to that. Now, to start about C programming, the most important thing what we have learned in C is called as identifiers. So identifiers is called as a user-defined names, which is assigned for variables. It can be assigned for functions, and it can also be assigned for arrays and structures. So any user-defined name is called as a identifier. So now when you closely observe this, now this A is called as an identifier, and ABC is called as an identifier, and STUD is called as an identifier. So even though concept wise it is variable, it is a function, and it is an array, this names which is assigned is called as identifier. Now identifiers has set of rules associated to that. The rules associated to that is called as identifier should always start with a letter. A letter can be uppercase or lowercase, and it can also start with an underscore. Okay, it doesn't mean that identifier should always start with a letter. It can also start with an underscore. So now you can see here that it cannot have a digit. It cannot. You cannot start an identifier with a digit now. Identifiers are case sensitive. So that means that, say for example, if I have AB, this is one identifier, and if I have another identifier called as AB, because even though it sounds same, but it is different, because I use a capital A here, I use a small a here. These two identifiers are not identical because these two are called as two different identifiers. Now, and one more important thing is you cannot use keywords or reserved words in the name of identifiers. So integer, return, these are called as reserved words. So you cannot use this as an identifiers. So that is the concept of identifiers here. Now we just point out what is called as valid and invalid identifier. So what is a valid identifier? When I have a start with underscore ABC, if I start with a letter or underscore, it is perfectly valid. So this is a valid identifier. Now coming to the next one, underscore 23. This is also called as a valid identifier because I start with underscore. Name is a valid identifier because it starts with a letter, and age is a valid identifier because it starts with a letter. And number 1, 2 is called as a valid identifier because it starts with a letter. Now underscore, I have two subsequent underscores. Still it is called as a valid identifier. Now what is meant by invalid identifier? Whenever I have any special symbols inside an identifier, then it is invalid. So register space, there is a space here. So it is invalid identifier. Now why the second one is invalid? Why? Because it starts with a digit. So this is an invalid identifier. The third one is invalid. Why? Because plus is used between this. Okay, this is a special character, so it is an invalid identifier. The fourth one, you have hyphen. Hyphen is not permitted because in special case it is an invalid identifier. And the fifth one and sixth one are called as reserved words or keywords. So integer is a keyword and while is a keyword. So these are called as invalid identifiers. Now you can see here integer float. Why it is invalid identifier? Because float is a keyword. I am trying to use that as an identifier, so it is invalid. Now when we talk about comments actually improve the readability of the program. For instance, when you work in a software company and suddenly you leave the job, and if someone sees your program, someone wants to modify your program, and this specific comments will help them that for what purpose you have written the code. So it will actually make the it will make the developer to easily understand the code. So comments are single line comment and double line comment, multi-line comment. In single line you can use these two slashes. In multi-line you can use slash star and star slash. And the keywords, there are keywords are special words which has a specific meaning attached to a C program. There is always a specific meaning attached to associated with that. So there are 32 reserved keywords which has a specific meaning, and these are called as a reserved words here. And one of the keywords is called as constant. So when I use constant, that means the value of the variable will not get changed at all. Even if you try to change, it will report an error. So here I assign a value called as 10 to a, but when I try to change it, it is reporting me an error. Why? Because it is constant. So now constant can also be used like this. It can be followed by the data type. So integer is called as a data type, and constant I'm having in the second line, second word. So this is also perfectly valid. Either this way or this way, constant can be declared. And now the variables are called as containers of the data. So this is called as containers of the data. It is called as containers of the data. So now in this case, I have three variables with three different data types: character, float, and integer. But similarly, you can have multiple variables declared in a single line. So integer a, b, c. This is also perfectly valid as far as variable is concerned. Now, variable initialization can be done in two different lines. So when I have this called as a variable declaration, this is called as declaration. And this one is called as variable initialization. When I put some value inside a variable, that is called as variable initialization. But variable initialization and declaration can also be done in a single line like this: integer number equal to 3. So declaration as well as initialization is done in single line. So it is all. The next is called as a scope of a variable. So what is meant by a scope of the variable? The limitation of access of the variable is called a scope of the variable. So in this case, I have an outer block called as an outer block here. This is called as an outer block. Inside this outer block, I have an inner block. Okay. And inside this inner block, I declare a variable called as a is equal to 10. And when I try to print a, so since it is trying to get printed in the same block, this is perfectly valid, and it will give me an answer called as 10. But when I come outside of this block and try to print a, it will show me an error. Why? Because this a cannot be accessed outside of this block. Okay, so that's why it is reporting me an error. Now coming to the next one, when the outer block content is always visible in inner block. Now this is called as an outer block, and inside the outer block I have a, and inside this outer block I have an inner block. When I try to access a here, it is perfectly valid. So this a is accessed inside the outer block itself. This is also perfectly valid. Both the statements are perfectly valid, so it will give me the answer called as 10 in both cases. So when you have inner block, the content of outer block will always be accessible inside the inner block. So this is just naming conventions. Naming convention means if you have more than one words, camel case letters has to be followed. So camel case means the second letter, the first word of the second letter should be capital. And for structures, you should have starting with the capital letter. So person, all these things are called as capital letter. So data type. As far as data type is concerned, in C programming, it is called as a statically typed language. That means before doing the program itself, data type is actually determined, and then program code is executed. So that it means it is called as it is done in the compile time itself. Data type is decided in the compile time itself. That's why it is called a statically typed language. And this is very crucial part. Different types of data. The most important thing is you have to understand the range of the data type. Range of the data type means a minimum range to maximum range. If it is short, it spans from -32,768 to +32,767. If it is integer, you can see these numbers. So it cannot go beyond the maximum range, and it cannot go beyond the minimum range. So go below the minimum range. So it's called as the range of the numbers. So, and these are called as the specific format specifiers for the data type. So percentage %d is used for, most probably you will be using this %d, and %f will be used for floating point, all these things. So %f will be used for floating point, %c will be used for character. But apart from it, we have to know other control specifiers also. It is mandatory, and this is nothing but the data types of all data here which is used. So now the most important thing is I have short A. You know that what is the range of short? It is minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. Okay, but I am trying to declare a data which is 32,769. What will happen? It is permitted up to 32,767. Okay, now it is actually 2 more than this. 2 more than the actual range. When you add 1 to this, it will go to the minimum value. It will go to the minimum value. What is the minimum value? Minus 32,768. Still, you have to add one more. Still, you have to add one more. When you add 1 to this, you will get minus 32,767. So, the answer is minus 32,767. So, and character, I have character equal to 130. Now, what is the range for character? Minus 128 to plus 127. Okay, now this is actually 3 more than the range. Okay, when you add 1 to 1 more, when you add 1 to 127, it is permitted. When you add 1 to it, it will go to the minimum range. What is the minimum range? Minus 128. Still 2 more has to be added. When 2 more is added, it will be resulting in minus 126. So the answer is minus 126 in this case. And this is about format specifiers. Okay, now I have an integer variable called as a is equal to 10, and percentage o is octal, percentage x is called as hexadecimal. Okay, now what will be the output of this? So 10 is called as an integer number. The octal base is actually 8 is called as an octal base. When 10 is divided by 8, quotient is 1, remainder is 2. So right from left to right, so the answer is 1, 2. 12 will be the answer. And when you try to convert into hexadecimal, so percentage x means hexadecimal will be in small letters. Okay, percentage x means it will be in capital letter. Okay, so now what is the equivalent value of 10 in hexadecimal? Equivalent value of 10 is actually a. So the answer is you will get 12 and a as an output in this line. So you will get 12 and a in this line. Okay, now another thing is 3.2345. 3.2345. I want to make with the two double precision here. Okay, when I use 0.2f, after point there will be 2 digits are permitted. So you will get 3.23 as an output. Now when I use percentage 5.3, that means out of 5 digits, 3 digits goes after decimal point. That is the meaning of it. So this should be, there's something here, small rock here. It is 3.2, it should be 3.235. Okay, so the final answer here is 3.235. So format specifiers, you can also specify a for floating point number in exponentiation symbol using an exponent format. So it is called as an exponent format. So what is an exponent format? When you use capital small x, it will be like this, e to the power of 01. And what does it mean? It means that 0.314 into 10 to the power of 1. That is the meaning of it. Okay. And similarly, this also, when you use capital X, e will be capital. That's all. So you can mention a floating point number in exponent format using this format specifiers. Now, when we talk about input and output, so printf welcome, this prints welcome, everyone knows that, but printf has a feature that it will print the return the number of characters it is printing. So it is printing actually 7 characters. So when I use n is equal to something like this, when I try to print n, it will print 7 characters. Okay, but the problem here is in the next line I have 2 printfs, printf inside another printf. So the innermost printf will get executed first. Innermost printf actually prints welcome. So welcome will get printed and it will return a value called as number of characters. So it prints 7 characters here. So it will return 7 and outside printf will print 7. Okay. Now a formatted string here. In formatted string, one is called as a character, another is called as integer. I try to print as percentage C will print a character and percentage D will print an integer. So A prints K and B prints 45. So you get an output called as K and 45. Now there is another way to print the data that is called as fputs. Instead of printf, we can also use fputs, because fputs is used to print inside files, but you can also print in the console. So you can use fputs, and if we mention std out, that is called as standard output. Standard output is always called as monitor. So now in monitor you will get an output called as welcome to C. Now a scanf has a feature, it will return the number of inputs it gets. It returns the number of inputs it gets. So in this case, it actually takes two inputs. Okay, ampersand A, ampersand B. So since you are getting two inputs, it will return 2 to C. Okay, when I print C, the output will be 2. So we have to be very clear about what scanf and printf returns in placement perspective. Now, the drawback of scanf is you can see that name is having 40 characters. Name is having 40 characters. Welcome to C. So as soon as a blank space is encountered in an input, when you give a blank space in an input, automatically the rest of the characters will get ignored. So when I try to print name, it will only print welcome. It won't print to C. Okay. That means scanf will not take the space into consideration. Okay. Now, what is the way to get a complete string? Now, for that, you have to use an escape sequence. So, what is an escape sequence? When you use cap symbol and /n, that means this scanf will keep on getting the input until a new line is pressed. Until a new line is pressed or an entry key is pressed, it will keep on getting the input. So, welcome to C will be accepted with spaces. So, in this case, you will get the final output called as welcome to C. Now, scanf has an alternative called as fgets. So, fgets can get an input from the keyboard, and stdin is called as points to keyboard now. This is called as keyboard. So, welcome to C will be given as an output to printf statement in this case. Now, this is called as an escape sequence. Very, very important. The most important escape sequence are /b. Then /r, it is called as carriage return. /t, it is called as tab. /v is called as vertical. Okay, and /n is called as a new line. All these are called as very, very important, which is very frequently asked in all the major recruitment drives. Now we will see certain examples related to this. Now, when I use printf and welcome, you can see that there is one space and I have 4 /b's. Okay, when I use one /b, it will come to this space. Okay, when I use the second /b, it will come to E. When I use third /b, it will come to M. And when I use fourth /b, it will come to O. Okay, and after that, it will print good. That means cursor will be reversed whenever you use /b. Okay, cursor will be traveling in the reverse manner. It will be traveling towards the left. Okay, 4 /b's. Now it will be standing in O. Now when I print good here, it will overwrite this O with G. Okay, and M will be written as O, and E will be written as O and D. So print, it will start to print from here. So it will be GOOD. Okay, so you will get values from in welcome WELC will be there, and the rest of the characters will be replaced by good. Now, when I use /r, what will happen? It is called as a carriage return here. Okay, when I use /r, cursor will go to the first character of the string. First character of the string is W. Okay, now after that you write good. What happens is W will be replaced by G, E will be replaced by O, L will be replaced by O, and D will be replaced by C will be replaced by D. So you will get an answer called as goodum. This is the answer. Okay. Now we will time for quiz here. So number of tokens in a C statement. Okay. So you have a simple printf statement. So printf is the first token. So printf is the first token. Then open brackets is the second token. Third token is hello world. Third token is hello world. Fourth token is close brackets. And the fifth token is semicolon. So altogether there are 5 tokens here. So the answer is 5. Answer is 5. Why do statically typed languages like C generally perform better than dynamically typed language like Python? Because it is tested on the compile time itself, it reduces the overhead, runtime overhead. So the answer is type is decided in the compile time itself. So answer is A. The third one, which of the following best describes C language? Okay, C is not only a low level language, it is also a high level language. So you can use C programming for application development, and you can also program an operating system. So both are possible in C programming. You can write device routines. Okay, that's why the answer is actually B. C is a high level language with feature support of low level programming. So answer B is the answer. Now the most important thing here, we want to find what is the value of K. Now you know that integer occupies 4 bytes. Integer occupies 4 bytes here. Now you have 5. So array of 5 means 5 will be the size of the integer. So 5 into 4 is equal to 20 bytes. So one integer occupies 4 bytes, 5 integer occupies 20 bytes. Okay, when I use size of array, it will be 20. 20 will be stored in K. Now K left shift 2 times. That means left shift means multiply K 2 times by 2. Okay, so when I multiply first time K by 2, 20 into 2 will be 40. When I multiply second time by 2, it will be 80. So the answer for this problem is actually 80 will be the answer. Now this question, we have 3 printfs. Printf percentage D 8. So nothing wrong in it, it will print 8. Okay, now the second printf have 0. Whenever 0 is there, then that is called as an octal number. So what is an octal number? Octal number means 0, 9, 0. Now octal is represented as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So these are the valid 7 numbers which is permitted in octal. Okay. Now what I am trying to do, I am using 9 here. So it is invalid octal number. So it will report an error. Now coming to this one, again, a number is preceded with 0. This is an octal number, but 0, 2, 0, 0. Okay, what will happen? 0 into 8 to the power of 0 is 0. 0 into 8 to the power of 1 is again 0. 2 into 8 to the power of 2. 8 squared is 64. 2 into 64 is 128. And this 0 will always get 0. So nothing wrong in it. So final answer is 128. So you have two outputs. One is 8 and another is 128. Second will report me an error. Second statement. Okay. So second will report an error here. Now how to do you write a single line comment in C? Single line comment is the third one. C can be in C. This double slashes is called as a single line comment. Now the question is focused on a scope resolution operator. So in this case, I have an outer block. Inside the outer block, I have two inner blocks. So this is the first inner block. In A is declared inside this first inner block. I have a second inner block. I try to print A. But what happens here is this A will not be visible to this block. Will not be visible to second block. So it will report an error. So when I try to print A, this block does not know what is meant by A. So it reports an error. Compile error. Now another important problem is I have 0, 32. It's an octal number. When I try to convert to integer, percentage D means it is called as, I want to convert that into integer. So 032 is an octal. So 032. So 2 into 82 to the power of 0 is 2. 3 into 8 to the power of 1 is 24. Okay, and 0 multiplied with 8 squared is 0. Okay, so the answer should be 26. So the answer here is 26. Now, which variable is having the longest scope? What is meant by a longest scope? Global variables will have a longest scope. What is global variable? A variable which is declared outside of the main program. Now, A is actually declared outside of the main program and C is actually declared outside of the main program. These two are called as global variables. But when the program executes from top to bottom, okay, this A has much visibility over C. Okay, A can be accessed inside and A can be accessed outside. But when you try to access this C inside, okay, because C is actually available only outside of the main program. Before main program, it is not available. So A has the longest scope. So answer is A. A is having the longest scope. Now, which definitions are valid? So, this variable starts with a letter, so this is perfectly valid. And this variable starts with a number, so this is invalid. And this variable starts with an underscore, only underscore is there, still it is valid. Still it is valid. So, 1 and 3 are valid. Now, character C equal to 125. When I add 10 to it. Now understand the range of characters. What is the range of characters? Minus 128 to 127. It is called as a range. Okay. Now you are trying to add 10 to it. Okay. 10 to it. 125 plus 10. Okay. When I add 125 plus 2, it will go to 127. Nothing wrong on it. Okay. Still 8 has to be added. When I add 1 to it, it will go to 128, won't go to 128, it will go to a lowest range called as minus 128. It will go to minus 128. Still, how many things is added? Still 7 has to be added. When 7 is added, now it will result in minus 121. So the answer is minus 121. Okay. So now what is the correct way to print these variables? One is float, another is double, and third is long double. So for the float, you have to use percentage F. For double, you have to use percentage LF. It's called as a format specifier. For long double, you have to use percentage capital LF. Okay. Now the answer is printf, percentage F, LF, and long F. So that's about today's lecture in C programming. So we will be learning about this coding practice in the next lecture. So thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.